Have you ever found yourself giving and giving, only to realize that some people never truly appreciate it? As we get older, we tend to become more generous with our time, advice, and even money, wanting to help those around us. But the hard truth is that not everyone deserves your kindness. Some people will drain your energy, take advantage of your generosity, and leave you with nothing in return. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 types of people you should never help in your old age. These are the individuals who will use your goodwill against you, making you feel obligated, guilty, or even financially strained. The worst part? They often disguise their intentions so well that you may not even realize it until it's too late. If you want to protect your peace of mind, financial security, and emotional well-being, you need to know who to avoid helping, no matter how much they beg, plead, or try to convince you otherwise. Stay tuned until the end, because these 4 types might just change the way you see certain people in your life. Knowing how to handle them can save you from years of stress and regret. Now, let's get started. Number 1, the chronic taker. First up, let's talk about the chronic taker. You know them well. They breeze in with that familiar grin, hands outstretched for a few dollars, a ride across town, or just your precious time to listen. They're sweet as pie when they're in a pinch, showering you with, "Oh, thank you so much, and I'll get you back, I promise." But when the tables turn and you're the one needing a boost, maybe a call on a lonely day or help with a chore, they vanish faster than dew in the morning sun. It's like they've got a radar for your generosity, but no compass for giving back. Over time you feel it, a quiet ache from always being the giver, wondering if they even see you beyond what you offer. Think of Joe, a 72-year-old retired carpenter with hands rough from years of honest work. His younger cousin was a charmer, always broke, forever spinning tales, job lost, car kaput, rent overdue. Joe, bless his big heart, kept dipping into his savings, handing over loans with a hopeful, "This time he'll turn it around." Years rolled on and it was the same old tune. No repayment, just more excuses. One gray afternoon, Joe sat with his coffee and saw it clear as day. His kindness wasn't building a bridge, it was propping up a leaky boat. That cousin wasn't learning to stand tall, he was leaning harder, counting on Joe's soft spot. It stung, but it woke him up to a truth he'd ignored too long. Here's one of those life lessons from the elderly my grandma used to share. Giving's a gift, but it's not a blank check to cash forever. A 2022 AARP survey found 60% of folks over 65 have lent money to family or friends, and half never saw a dime returned. That's more than dollars, it's your energy, your trust, the piece you've stitched together over decades. Chronic takers don't change because they don't need to. They've got a knack for finding hearts like ours, open and willing. They'll sip your well dry, then mosey on to the next kind soul without a backward glance. It's not malice, just habit. But we've lived long enough to know our worth isn't tied to how much we can carry for someone else. So what do? Set a gentle boundary, like a fence, around your garden to keep the good in. Try a simple, "I can't help right now," and let it rest. No excuses, no fuss. You've earned the right to save your generosity for folks who'll hold it dear, not toss it aside. I've been there. Saying no felt like pulling teeth at first, stiff and awkward. But oh, the relief when I stopped hauling someone else's load. It's like shedding an old coat that never fit right, leaving room for joy instead of strain. You're not closing your heart, you're opening it to what truly matters. People who give as good as they get. That's the balance we deserve in these golden years. Can you think of a time someone kept taking without giving back? How did it feel when you finally put your foot down? Number 2, the emotional manipulator. Next, let's chat about the emotional manipulator. These folks don't come right out and ask. They weave a web of sighs and hints until you feel you've got to rescue them. They're sly as foxes, painting their troubles in shades of gloom, making you feel their woes are yours to unravel. A heavy, "Oh, I'm just so overwhelmed," lands like a stone in your lap, and before you know it, you're offering help you didn't plan to give. They're masters at tugging your heartstrings, turning guilt into a quiet weapon. You end up wondering why you're so tired, why your own needs feel pushed aside. It's a slow drain, isn't it? Like a faucet dripping away your calm, drop by precious drop. Take Helen, a 68-year-old retired nurse with a heart as wide as the sky. Her friend Martha was always knee-deep in some mess, leaky faucet, pinched pennies, family feuds. She'd call, voice trembling, murmuring, "I don't know how I'll manage," pausing just long enough for Helen to swoop in with a fix. Helen did it every time, thinking, that's what friendship means. Being there, no questions asked. But when Helen's husband passed, leaving her lost in grief, Martha was too tired to lend an ear. One quiet evening, staring at her tea, Helen saw as she'd been pouring into a one-way street, her energy fading with every unreturned kindness. Martha wasn't a friend, she was a shadow, dimming Helen's light with every call. This hits close to home, doesn't it? I've known folks who'd lean on me like I was their rock, only to scatter when my own ground shook. Here's another life lesson from the elderly: real friendship's a two-way bridge, sturdy and shared. The National Institute on Aging says 1 in 4 older adults feels emotionally burdened by lopsided ties, relationships that take more than they give. Manipulators don't just borrow your time, they siphon your spirit, leaving you questioning your own value. It's like tending a garden where nothing blooms, just weeds choking out your flowers. We've lived long enough to know love isn't a burden to bear alone. True connection lifts us, not leaves us hollow, and we're too wise to let guilt steal our peace. Here's the fix. You're allowed to say no, plain and simple. No need for a long story, just a gentle, "I can't take that on right now," and let it stand. It's not selfish, it's survival, like pulling your coat tight against a cold wind. When I started doing that, I felt lighter, as if I'd reclaimed the air I'd been holding for someone else. You deserve folks who lift you up, laughter over coffee, a hand when you're weary, not those who drag you down with their shadows. Let's hold space for the ones who walk beside us, sharing the load, not adding to it. That's the kind of company that warms these later years, like sunlight through a window on a crisp morning. If you're still here with me, type 2 in the comments to let me know you're finding this information helpful. Number 3, the reckless spender. Now, let's talk about the reckless spender. These folks are always scraping bottom, not from cruel fate, but from choices that scatter their money like leaves in the wind. They splurge on shiny toys, rack up debts they can't tame, then turn those pleading eyes your way, hoping you'll mend their mess. It's a heart twister, especially when it's kin, your blood tugging at your wallet. You want to believe they'll learn, that this time they'll steady up, but the cycle spins on, and each plea chips at your peace. It's like watching a river run dry while you pour in bucket after bucket, wondering why it never holds. We've all felt that pull to save them, haven't we? Yet it leaves us stretched thin. Take Ron, a 74-year-old retired mechanic, hands still stained with years of grease and grit. His grandson was a whirlwind, job hopping, blowing cash on gadgets and late-night bar tabs. When the rent came due, he'd show up, sheepish, begging Ron for a bailout. Ron gave, picturing the boy settling down, maybe starting a family of his own. But the pleas rolled in like clockwork, car repairs, emergencies that reeked of last-minute scrambles. One crisp fall day, tinkering in his garage, Ron saw it plain. His cash wasn't a lifeline, it was a crutch, propping up a life of shrugs. That grandson wasn't growing roots, he was resting on Ron's branches. It hurt to admit, but truth often stings before it heals. I get it. I've felt that ache to pull loved ones from their own quicksand. But here's a life lesson from the elderly. You can't buy someone's discipline with your dollars. A 2023 Federal Reserve report showed 40% of Americans can't handle a $400 emergency, often because they've spent beyond their reach. If you keep tossing lifelines, you're not saving them, you're sinking yourself. I've seen friends empty their savings, then scramble for medicine or heat because they gave too much. It's a quiet theft of your security, your dreams, those little joys like a warm quilt or a trip to see the grandkids. We've worked too long to let reckless habits unravel our safety net. Love doesn't mean bleeding dry for someone else's whims. Protect yourself first, friends. Say, I can't spare it, and stand firm, no guilt, just resolve. Your nest eggs for your golden years, those cozy mornings with tea steaming, sunlight spilling in, not restless nights fretting over someone else's tab. When I stopped playing bank, I slept deeper, knowing my own roof was secure. You've toiled hard, decades of sweat and sacrifice, to build this life. Don't let careless hands pick it apart. Picture it, a day free to bake cookies with the little ones, or sit with a book, not a calculator. That's your right, earned through years of grit. Save your generosity for those who plant their own seeds, not pluck yours. It's not cold, it's claiming the calm you deserve. Have you ever helped someone financially who kept falling back? What did you learn from it? Number 4, the perpetual victim. Some people go through life always blaming others for their problems. No matter what happens, it's never their fault. They always have a reason why things didn't work out, why they can't seem to get ahead, or why they're constantly struggling. These are the perpetual victims, and if you're not careful, they will pull you into their cycle of negativity, draining your energy and emotions in the process. At first, they may seem like they just need a little encouragement or guidance. They talk about how unfair life has been to them, how they were treated poorly by others, or how they've faced one setback after another. You listen, you sympathize, and you offer advice. But soon you start to notice a pattern. No matter what solutions you suggest, they always have an excuse for why it won't work. They're not looking for help, they're looking for validation that their life is unfair and that nothing is ever their fault. Perpetual victims often attract compassionate people who genuinely want to help. They know that if they tell a sad enough story, someone will step in and try to make things better. But no matter how much you help them, nothing ever changes. They always find themselves in the same situation, and instead of taking action, they continue to complain. Over time, you realize that your support isn't making a difference, it's just feeding into their cycle. Take Linda, a 71-year-old retired teacher, for example. She had an old friend, Karen, who was constantly struggling. One month, Karen needed help paying bills. The next, she was complaining about how unfair her boss was. Then it was how nobody supported her, how people always betrayed her, how she could never catch a break. Linda felt sorry for her, so she offered emotional support, financial help, and even introduced her to job opportunities. But no matter what Linda did, Karen always had a new complaint, a new crisis, and a new excuse. Eventually, Linda realized that Karen wasn't interested in solutions, she was only interested in sympathy. Here's the thing about perpetual victims. They do not want to change. If they did, they would take responsibility for their actions and start making different choices. But instead, they cling to their problems because being a victim gives them attention, excuses, and an easy way out. And the more you support them, the more they depend on you to keep their story alive. Helping someone who refuses to help themselves is exhausting. It drains your emotional energy, leaves you frustrated, and makes you feel like you're carrying their problems on your back. And the worst part? They will never truly appreciate your efforts because, in their mind, nothing you do will ever be enough. If you have a perpetual victim in your life, the best thing you can do is step back. Stop trying to fix their problems, stop giving them endless sympathy, and stop allowing their negativity to affect your peace of mind. You are not responsible for saving someone who refuses to save themselves. If you're still here with me, type 4 in the comments to let me know you're finding this information helpful. Final thoughts. Well, my dear friends, as we wind down this little chat, let's pause for a moment and think about these 4 folks we've talked about. The chronic takers, the emotional manipulators, the reckless spenders, and the perpetual victims. Do any of them ring a bell from your own life? Maybe you've felt that weary tug from someone who keeps taking without a thank you. Or perhaps you've wrestled with guilt when you dared to draw a line in the sand. If any of these feel familiar, let me tell you something. It's time to wrap your arms around your own well-being and hold it close. You don't have to keep pouring out for those who don't see your worth. You see, growing older is a gift, a season meant for peace, not worry. You've put in the years, raised families, paid bills, weathered storms big and small. Those wrinkles and silver hairs, they're badges of a life well lived, full of lessons that only time can teach. Now isn't the moment to let anyone, takers, guilt trippers, spendthrifts, or complainers, steal the calm and joy you've earned. One of the great truths I've picked up along the way is this: kindness is a treasure, but it's yours to give, not theirs to demand. Choose where it lands with care, like planting seeds in good soil. Helping others is part of who we are. Our hearts grow bigger with age, don't they? I've always believed a generous spirit is a sign of strength, not weakness. But here's a gentle lesson life whispers to us. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. You're not here to patch up every mistake someone else makes, nor to carry them when they won't stand on their own 2 feet. And you sure don't owe your precious time or that hard-saved nest egg to folks who only know how to take. That's not being selfish, it's being wise. There's an old saying I love: you can't pour from an empty cup. Keep yours full, friends, so you can share it where it matters. So let's make a quiet promise today to put ourselves first, not out of hardness, but out of respect for the life we've built. Surround yourself with souls who see you, who honor your no as much as your yes, and who bring a little light to your days. Maybe it's a friend who calls just to laugh, a grandchild who listens to your stories, or a neighbor who shares a slice of pie. Those are the ones worth your time, because time, it's more valuable than gold now. Spend it on what fills your heart with joy. Thanks for sitting with me today. I've loved every minute of it. I'd be tickled to hear from you, so drop a note below. What's one thing that stuck with you today, and how might you weave it into your life? Your words mean the world to us. They're like a warm hug that keeps us going. If this talk touched you, give it a little like, maybe subscribe, and pass it along to someone who'd enjoy it too. Your support helps us keep these conversations alive, and I'm so grateful for that. Can't wait to visit with you again soon. Before I go, here's a proverb my mama used to say, and it's stayed with me all these years. A tree doesn't bend to every wind, but stands tall through the seasons. You're that tree, friends, strong, rooted, and worthy of every good thing. Take care, and I'll see you next time.